Shadowlane, this is the Deplorable Minecrafter. I have not uploaded a video in a while, and the last one I uploaded was pretty terrible. As will this one, and probably pretty much all videos to come. Well, I saw an article that made me mad, so I decided to make a video on it. Well, I suppose I should just get started on it. Judge Roy Moore, the Republican candidate for Alabama's upcoming special Senate election, denies allegations that he romantically pursued teenagers as young as 14 when he was in his 30s. Even if the allegations are true, one statewide elected official in Alabama said, "It's much ado about nothing." I do not care if the allegations are true or not. I'm not doing this about that. I do not know enough about it. I shall leave it to the state of Alabama to determine his guilt or non-guilt. What I want to talk about is what this person is saying, what Ziegler says, because it is so stupid. Alright. "There's nothing to see here," Alabama State Auditor Jim Ziegler told the Washington Examiner. "The allegations is that a man in his early 30s dated teenage girls. Even the Washington Post reports that he never had sexual intercourse with any of the girls and never attempted sexual intercourse." We'll find out that's not quite true. Anyway, after interviews with more than 30 people, the Washington Post reported Thursday that Moore engaged in sexual contact with a 14-year-old girl when he was 32 years old and a powerful attorney in a small Alabama town. The young girl, Lee Corfman, said Moore touched her over her rotten underpants, guiding her to his shorts. That sounds like initiating it. Not that it's illegal, but more on that later. I wanted it over with. I want it out," she recalled. "Please just get this over with. Whatever this is, just get it out over." Ziegler seemed unconcerned about that allegation and told the Washington Examiner that any political concern would be mitigated by three things. Moore never had sexual intercourse with the girl. Their relationship happened almost 40 years ago, because that makes such a difference. And finally, Roy Moore fell in love with one of the younger women. Moore began dating his wife Kayla around this time, according to Ziegler. He dated her, he married her, and they've been married about 35 years. They're blessed with a wonderful marriage, and his wife Kayla is 14 years younger than Moore. Asked whether or not the report would upend Moore's campaign, Ziegler predicted that Alabama voters would be angry at the Washington Post for desperately trying to get something negative than Moore for his dalliances with teenage girls decades ago. Again, I don't care. I'm not going to get involved in Alabama politics or anything with Alabama. Asked whether he's clean as a hound's tooth, Ziegler claimed, before relying on scripture to defend Moore. Not quite. He doesn't actually quote scripture. He technically quotes the historical context. Take the Bible. Zechariah and Elizabeth, for instance. Zechariah was extremely old to marry Elizabeth, and they became the parents of John the Baptist. Well, okay, he probably was old compared to what we would consider now. He was most likely significantly older than Elizabeth, and she would be what we would consider underage. But when they're introduced, they're already elderly, so I do not see how what they did many years ago affects the fact that they became parents of John the Baptist. Also, take Joseph and Mary. Mary was a teenager and Joseph was an adult carpenter. They became parents of Jesus. Okay, this is better. After all, the angel did command him to take Mary home as his wife. However, okay, when he says they became parents of Jesus, that would seem to imply that Joseph fathered Jesus, which is not what the account says. And if you deny the virgin birth, it sort of mitigates your entire appeal to Scripture. Anyway, let me look at this. Okay, so he's saying, because in Scripture, he is saying that because a man who was most likely in his 20s or 30s, and tradition says was an elderly widower, though as a dirty prod I do not care about tradition, was commanded to take a teenager home as his wife, Again, their ages are not recorded, but I would say yes, this is most likely what the situation was. Therefore, this is not an issue. Well, first, the allegation is that he attempted to initiate intercourse. I mean, I would say, based on what the allegation actually was, yes, that is initiating intercourse. Okay, let me finish the quote. There's just nothing immoral or illegal here, Ziegler concluded. Maybe just a little bit unusual. If it were simply a man in his 30s pursuing a romantic relationship with underage girls, perhaps it would simply be unwise, or do you really need to be doing that? And I do not know whether Alabama law covers this. You can say Alabama state law was and is, the age of consent is 16. He did this with a 14-year-old. Again, whether or not he's guilty or whether how far he went violates law, that I don't care. That leave it to the courts. Essentially, he is appealing to the religion which condemns fornication and says that you should obey the authorities as God appointed to justify someone attempting to fornicate in violation of the law set by the authorities, because it also says that those authorities may set the age of consent lower than what it currently is. Also, even if this were not illegal, this is clearly okay. Yes, the biblical mandate is a bit more complicated than just no sex before marriage. But what he did, I mean, not what. Okay, again, I don't know if he was guilty. I am totally neutral, so do not take anything I say here to be a comment on his guilt or non-guilt. But assuming this happened, even just as a hypothetical, that is just no. Because it is very unlikely he would have been able to. Oh, because okay, let's say this were a 16-year-old, he would still be. It would seem that he did not know her well and would be unlikely to continue the relationship as a marriage. So yes, it's still extremely unwise, and as I said, it is immoral because it violates state law, and it is also lustful. Stupid Al. Diamonds!